Howdy folks. Today's video is focused more on people who haven't gotten into tech yet and are trying to figure out how to get started. So we're going to go over basically the general steps that you're going to need to get a tech job starting from ground zero. Let's get started. So starting off, the biggest question is, what do you want to do? There's a lot of nuance here, and your journey really depends on the answer to this question. Do you want to just make a lot of money? That's completely reasonable. I'm not judging you for that. Do you want to move out of your career into a different career and think that tech is really good? Do you want to be a product manager? Do you want to manage people? Do you want to do your own startup? Do you want to create games? Do you want to work on operating systems? Do you want to work on web security? Do you want to build e-commerce sites? This is really important because the languages, frameworks, courses, things that you learn really do depend on the answer to this question. So as an example, if you want to get into games, there are university degrees for that. And that would probably be your best bet. You could also start learning Unity, learning C#, picking up various game engines, learning how those things work. So that determines the communities that you're going to go into. If you're just doing it for the money, or you want a better job, then you should really look up what languages are popular, what languages pay the most. It's like COBOL, basically. You'd have to learn COBOL if you really want a lot of money, but I wouldn't recommend that. And if you want to get into web security, then you're going to want to learn JavaScript, TypeScript. You're going to want to pick up those sorts of things. You're going to want to start taking security classes. Maybe you want to take big data classes, things like that. The next piece that's really important is start learning. You're going to need to start learning somewhere. And again, this does depend on what you've chosen to do. But there's a lot of generic things that you can use here. So again, university courses, that's how I personally learned. Those are really good because they give you an extremely solid foundation, and also they're very prestigious. If you have a bachelor's degree from a university, companies are going to be really interested in that and really like that sort of thing. There are also boot camps, which are totally legitimate, especially if you have maybe already gone into your career. You don't really have time to do a full 4-year university degree. Boot camps are really rigorous, though. They really require you to really pay a lot of attention, keep up on the work, and put in a lot of your own time. So it really is like having a second job. But they have data science boot camps, design boot camps. I personally have taught a number of web programming boot camps. There are also courses you can take on YouTube, Udemy, that sort of thing. But it really comes down to, what do you want to do? Are you doing game design? Maybe you want to take, or game programming. Maybe you want to take a Udemy course on how to use Unity for 3D games. Completely legitimate. Do you want to learn web programming? There's courses for that as well. Figure out what works best for you. There are self-taught people that do go quite far in this field, but the important thing is you really have to be dedicated to do that. You have to be ready to ask a lot of questions and really think a lot about how you want to move forward, because there's not going to be anyone else pushing you. And if you go do a boot camp or a 4-year degree, you're going to have people pushing you, assigning you homework, deciding what you should learn next, and pushing you along a degree path that gets you to a certain point. So again, really, I would recommend the 4-year degree. I think that's the best way to go, but I also understand not everyone is at that point in their lives or has time for it. Second best thing is a boot camp, but with the understanding that the boot camp is going to give you a lot less information, but they're also going to be giving you too much information in a very compressed time. So there's a lot more that you're going to have to. It's like a boot camp. Like, think about the military. Doing an actual boot camp in the military is not going to be easy. It's going to hurt a lot because they are actually going to be breaking you down, and boot camps for tech are very similar. Not saying it's the same thing. No disrespect to our military people out there. I think a military boot camp is a lot harder, but there's a reason they call it a tech boot camp. The next step, once you have got a little bit of learning under your belt, or while you're still in the process of learning, join communities that are interested in what you are doing. This can be forums. This can be YouTube channels, Discord servers, Twitch streams, any sort of place you can find people that are doing things that are similar to what you want to do. Join those communities, be an active participant, ask questions, try to help people that are also learning, maybe, because once you've learned a little bit, then you do know a little bit and you can also be useful. If you do that, the best way to learn is by teaching, I found, but the second best way is to have someone who already knows what they're doing critique what you're doing. And I don't mean critique in like a bad way, like, oh, they're critiquing you, you know, you're doing a bad job, but critique in such a way that they can point out better ways to do what you're doing. What I tell my students is, does it work? If it works, that's great. And that is honestly where you want to start. Just get something working. But then after that, bring it up with your communities, find your communities and let them know, hey, this is what I've done. Can you do a code review on this? Can you honestly give me some feedback? Now, to be able to be at that point where you are getting those sorts of benefits from people, you need to also be providing something useful to them. So find out what your community needs and help them out in that way, because that'll be really important to making sure that you're getting something out of that as well. Once you've got some good learning on your belt, you've got a supportive community, the next thing you need to do, start working on projects. It doesn't really matter what this project is. Pick something. Pick something that is in line with what you want to do. Build a simple game. Build an e-commerce site. Look at some websites and start thinking about how you would secure them if you're doing web security. Start looking at big data projects, doing analytics on images, things like that. It's important to get this skill because this is the sort of thing that is going to prepare you for actual challenges in the workplace. What happens in the workplace is at least as a junior engineer, you're going to be given tasks that the senior engineers could do. But they have more important things to do, so they're giving you these tasks so you can learn and grow. So that means you need to be able to learn and grow, but also you need to be able to show them that you are capable of doing the basic tasks. The only way to get to that point is by doing the basic tasks, by learning what those basic tasks are. If you start up a data science project using TensorFlow, you're going to learn what is necessary to get TensorFlow going. You're going to learn how to use TensorFlow, and that's going to be important because when you get a data science job, you're going to probably be using something like TensorFlow, and they're going to be expecting you to have that knowledge. Once you've gotten to that point that you feel pretty comfortable, you've got some good projects under your belt, you've got a good resume, the next step is start applying to jobs. Now, the first dozen jobs that you apply to aren't even going to get back to you probably. The first 100 jobs, you might get a couple people get back to you. That's why use your community for this. Use your community, ask them, hey, are there job openings? At this point, if you've gotten in well with the community, they should really understand that you do kind of know what you're doing. You're not a risk for them to bring into their own companies. So you may get more senior engineers and stuff saying, hey, we've got an opening. Do you want to apply for it? Use that community as well to figure out what specific skills you need to get those jobs. So again, if you're doing something like video game design, you're going to want to learn Unity. You might even want to pick up Unreal Engine because that is also popular. You're going to want to learn Godot. You're going to want to learn all these engines and then talk to the people in your community who are in those sectors and ask them, what do you use? What are the techniques I need to know? Because if you come to that company and you say, yeah, I've been talking to X engineer, I have already been training on all the tools that you use for 6 months, they're going to love that. They're going to say, oh my gosh, that's great, because they know that that engineer knows exactly what they need and what they're looking for. And if they know that you've been practicing with that in mind, you're much more likely to get in. Also, if you're referred by that person who trusts that you know what you're doing, because again, you've been working with them through the community, you're going to have a bigger in because the recruiter is going to know that you've been vetted. They may even skip the initial first parts of the interviews for some people that really seem like they know what they're doing. So you really want to leverage your network for this. Once you're applying to jobs, because honestly, if you're cold applying to jobs through Indeed or LinkedIn or stuff, it's shit. You're not going to get what you want. You really need to rely on your community and getting into those communities and using them to get that job search. Even as you're applying for jobs, even once you have a job, the most important thing for the rest of your career, keep practicing your skills. Learn new libraries, new frameworks, new languages, new techniques, new tools. You should always be continuing to improve your skills, continue to keep up to date the ones that you've learned so far, no matter where you got them. This is only going to help you, because really, It is a numbers game, but you can stack the deck by just getting better at what you're doing, getting better at projects. If you can show, I put this project out 2 years ago, this is what I used, then I learned these new techniques and put this other project out, companies are going to be much more interested in keeping you if you already work there, employing you if you don't work there, and communities are going to be more interested in having you around and providing you with support because you can give more to them. So, I know it's going to be a long journey. If you're really thinking, I want to get into tech, I really want to do this, it's not going to be easy. It was never easy, and now there's so many people trying to do it that you really need to stand out. But if you are diligent, if you really make this your job and really learn and grow, get involved in the communities, apply for jobs, keep your own projects, build your own projects, and keep practicing, you're gonna make it. It's gonna happen. Have a good one, folks. Good luck out there.